chaka, hookah, 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 chaka.
I'm hooked on a feeling.
Hi, I'm Star-Lord. You may know me as that unfunny, annoying guy from the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers. Sure, I look like I stepped out of a stoner comedy, but did you know I'm actually a superhero? It's true. I bet lots of you would probably like to look like a superhero too. Well, now I'm taking my crippling gambling debts and love of 1980s soft rock to bring you Peter Quill's Fighting Aliens to the Oldies. You'll learn to defend yourselves from evil alien scum as you engage in a healthy cardiovascular workout, all the while enjoying some of the best bands from the past of planet Earth. Order now and we'll throw in a patented Star-Lord mask. It monitors your heart rate, weight, and brainwaves, just so you can be sure you're not a filthy scroll. With my patented program, you'll be able to dance your way to skinny in no time. Oh, my problem is Raccoon is just so damn fattening. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek. I admit I've been a bit vocal about my dislike of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie trailer. It seemed to be overly reliant on cheesy jokes and CGI action scenes rather than the genuine character development of the comic book that I once loved. Guardians of the Galaxy was originally about a group of alien freedom fighters in the year 3000. When Marvel Comics underwent its cosmic renaissance with Annihilation, co-writers Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning relaunched the Guardians of the Galaxy as a modern-day team of mercenaries assembled by Star-Lord, Peter Quill, to head off cosmic disasters before they struck. They operated out of nowhere, the floating severed head of a Celestial stuck in a void dimension and overseen by a Russian dog granted superintelligence after being sent up in space, Cosmo. They even tied into the previous team when Major Victory traveled through time and joined them. The team met its end in the Thanos Imperative. Drax was killed, and Star-Lord and Rich Rider, Nova, stayed behind in a dying dimension to trap Thanos before he once again laid waste to our universe. This was then thrown out the window by Brian Michael Bendis, who revamped the team into a slimmed-down modern-day iteration. Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Drax, Groot, and Gamora, now acting as a sort of space Avengers. This is the team currently featured in the soon-to-be-released Marvel movie. Hey, now I love the writing of Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, or DNA as they're collectively known. They've created some of the best space comic books of my lifetime, going all the way back to Legion Lost, which was my first flashback episode. Now, unfortunately, I heard they recently decided to go their own separate ways, but when Marvel offered them the chance to write the prequel comic book to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, they decided to give it one last team effort. So, let's get ready for 2014's last big superhero film, and say goodbye to one of the great writing teams of our time, with the Guardians of the Galaxy movie Prelude, Issues 1 and 2. As she burns through the atmosphere of a planet, the alien woman Nebula remembers better times. She and Gamora, as children, running through a forest to earn the praise of their trainer Ronan. They decide to knife fight one another to see who will get to the end of the race first, instead of, running. Gamora falls and hangs on for her life to a giant vine. She offers to share the prize and praise with Nebula, but this is a ruse and she pulls Nebula off the vine. Nebula is weak. Gamora would never have been so easily fooled. Adult Nebula deploys a pair of wings from her armor. She's broken protocol by going in alone, but she wants the orb for her master. It's among the cloud tombs of Praxeus. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be talking too much about a movie I haven't even seen yet, but in the film, Nebula is played by Karen Gillan, formerly of Doctor Who. In this role, she was covered head to toe in blue-gray makeup and even shaved her head. And she's still more attractive in this movie than she is in the trailer for her new sitcom, Selfie.
My coworkers, love me.
Got the upgrade sluts. Don't be jelly, Linda.
Oh, Karen. Another flashback, and Nebula awakens from her fall in a healing tank. Thanos watches over her. He's placed metal implants in her to make her stronger. Only power should matter to her. Back turn to the camera, purple guy from the Avengers movie. On Praxeus, Nebula is fired on by automatic cannons. Back in the past, Gamora and Nebula are flying, but their ship is being shot up by their enemies. Gamora suggests they eject and use the ship's self-destruct to destroy those enemies. It succeeds, and both she and Gamora are further enhanced by Thanos. Distracting the turrets with holographic targets, Nebula ejects and lands on the ground. Climbing and then blasting her way into one of the temples, she remembers the years of training and the bond forged with Gamora. She enters the room holding the orb only to find there is no orb and numerous armed soldiers waiting for her. She is trapped in a laser net, but forces her way out, seemingly uncaring about the damage being done to her body. The soldiers are shot by an adult Gamora. She's already taken the orb and, on Thanos' orders, leaves Nebula to extract herself. She hands her the knife, knowing it won't be able to cut the laser net itself. Remembering a lifetime of training telling her to cast aside weakness for power, Nebula cuts off her own arm. Later, she emerges from a healing chamber with a metallic arm, secure in the knowledge that she's made herself stronger for her master. Issue 2 opens at the Hub, a massive space station. While the rich live in Uptown, downtown is populated by the criminal element and houses a black market smuggling operation. It's here we find Rocket Raccoon and Groot, in the middle of a massive shootout with the crime lord Zaid Scraggot, all while the paid-off security turns a blind eye. We then flash back to earlier in the day. Rocket and Groot are just about broke and need to find a quick job that pays well. Rocket and Groot, they become a real team over the years, somewhere between Batman and Robin and Jay and Silent Bob, although much funnier, of course. Rocket's a genetically engineered raccoon, and Groot is a wooden siege tank capable of only saying, "I am Groot!" Things are going their way when they're approached by Squidly, a quite literally slimy representative working for Scraggot. He buys the boys a drink and offers them 1,000 credits to import a box from Uptown to downtown. However, tight security separates the two ends of the hub. The only way they'll get in is via the coaxial shaft, which is filled with wires, cables, and other technical relays. Groot easily punches his way in and grows his arms up the shaft so Rocket can scamper up. Rocket throws in a smoke grenade, passes off the package to Groot, but not before eyeing a case of confiscated weaponry. He steals a laser cannon that catches his eye, but this sets off an alarm, drawing all the attention to him. As Groot withdraws with the package, Rocket spies an illegal antimatter engine. He rides it out of there like a bat out of hell, or in this case, a raccoon out of an impound yard. He shoots open a window, but while his helmet provides air, his suit does not provide heat, and he begins to freeze. However, Groot saves the day, losing an arm in the process, but that's okay. He can easily grow a new one. Squidly is thrilled. Mr. Scraggot will be so pleased. They open the case and see that it contains a family of live scalexes. Scraggot is redoing his bathroom and wants to harvest their shells for tiling. But the scalexes are sentient. Not only that, but they're really small. There's only 5 of them. I mean, how is Scraggot planning to redo his entire bathroom with just those few shells? We've seen him. He's a normal-sized guy. This is a bad plan! It's redecorating that really makes me angry. Not only sentient, but sentient and rich. They offer Rocket and Groot double Squidly's price to save them. The partners exchange glances and go to work freeing the family by punching out Squidly. Rocket grabs their payment off him, while Groot grabs the family of space mollusks. Rocket reminds Groot they'll have to make sure to avoid Scraggot, which is where we came in. Rocket assumes Scraggot wants the mollusks back, but he's decided in favor of redoing his bathroom in raccoon skin rugs and wood paneling. Pissed off, Rocket leaps on Scraggot, claws out and fangs Bard, and proceeds to go to town on the gangster. One of the guards asks if they should stop Rocket, and the other guard reminds him that Scraggot pays them not to get involved. Now with a substantial paycheck on the way from their new clients, Rocket and Groot reflect on their time at the Hub. They've learned 2 things. 1, never go downtown, and 2, never go back. Never go back? I wonder if Abnett and Landy were sending us a message about this series. So there you go. 2 separate tales involving the characters from the upcoming Marvel movie. Does this work as a prequel to the film? Does this work as a send-off to DNA? Does this work at all? Let's take a closer look. Sadly, as epitaphs for great teams go, DNA could have done a lot better than the Guardians of the Galaxy Prelude. While their take on the ongoing series was to present a quirky team thrown into high-stakes action and meeting it with a sense of humor, here the action and humor are split between the 2 issues. And yes, you could argue that Rocket and Groot had action, but overall was overwhelmed by the quirkiness of this duo and their sense of humor. While Nebula, who is nothing but a cipher of sorts, was nothing but action with very little emotion. She's not a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and why not focus on Gamora instead? She's a member of the team, she has the same background as Nebula, and is someone we'd want to feel sympathetic towards. They do make us feel sorry for Nebula. She's continually tricked and abused by Thanos and Gamora, but again, she's a villain. Is that sympathy appropriate? If I had to guess, I'd say DNA were probably told to keep these stories inconsequential so as not to spoil or contradict anything in the movie. Prelude is almost the wrong word for these stories, as I doubt either will be referenced in the film. Tales of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie might have been a better title, although it is a bit wordy. As for Rocket's tale, story, It's hard to fault Groot. All he did in the original comic was say, "I am Groot," and that's all he does here. In the older comic, Rocket was funny, but he balanced that against his responsibilities as the team's strategist, and he really cared for his teammates. Here, it's all about the heist, and that's okay, but it doesn't make me care about the characters. As for the art, this is one of the more positive aspects of the book. Wellington Alves does a pretty good job with his action sequences, and even draws aliens in the same vein as we used to see from Paul Pelletier, the original Guardian artist on DNA's run. Wellington actually reminds me a lot of Mark Bagley. His art is a bit cartoonish, but he's got his own style that works for him and establishes a universe where everyone looks like how they're supposed to. That said, the coloring is pretty basic and looks the same when we go from the outdoor world of Nebula's story to the inside battles of Rocket's story. It's pretty bland. Overall, I have to say that Dan Abnett and Andy Landing's final work together goes out with a whimper, not a bang. I give the Guardians of the Galaxy movie Prelude issues 1 and 2 2 out of 5 stars. Again, I've not read Brian Bendis' reimagining of the Guardians that the movie is based on, but I'd encourage everyone to go back and reread DNA's previous run on the book. It's about 25 issues and then wraps up in the Thanos Imperative miniseries. And it's a great example of superhero space adventures. Until next time, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek. Hey everyone, The Last Angry Geek here, and I hear what you're saying. You want me to review the Doctor Who episode or comic book of your choice? Well, no, I can't. Check out my Patreon page at the link below. I've got everything from early access to my reviews to me reviewing the comic book or Doctor Who episode of your choice. Check it out.